And then anti-farmers organization, we've been working together for a long time, and then it has been going well. So on behalf of the Chief Judge, who is presently on another mission, I wish to welcome all of you here that is concerned for women in partnership with Shine Light in girls' education. We know girls' education is very important, and the issue of this FGM and child marriage is also very, very important. That is why myself and Chief Judge, we deem it necessary that having such a program here is key, as the center can facilitate to be the nerve center to coordinate, bringing people outside and then doing the training here. Despite the fact we do training within the security forces, it is also prudent that people are invited who are outside the security forces to come here and do the training. It will also facilitate that esprit de corps within the civil-military relationship. So once again, I wish to thank each and every one of you for your presence here, and on behalf of the Chief Judge, I declare this session open. Thank you, everybody.
Gender equality for me is normal like eating. The worth of a girl is the same like the worth of a boy. So we don't have this difference in our country, even we have it, but not that much as you have it. So for us, it's a great honor to stay with you here. You don't know what it means to us to do this work, and I'm so happy with my team. They are joining me. This is Julia, and this is Hannah, and it's the first time that we stay here in the Gambia together, and it's a pleasure to be with you here. Thank you so much.
Okay. But my task today here is to facilitate sessions on gender-based violence and also look at issues of FGM and possibly child marriage. So the basic is we look at our basic characteristics as a human being, which is sex. So what is the understanding of sex? What is the primary meaning of sex? Any volunteer? We want it to be a discussion. If I want to do a formal presentation, it's going to be very boring. Yeah. So what is sex? And I need the primary definition of sex, not the secondary definition.
It's about identity. Identity.
It's about identity, who you are, either a man or a woman. That's the primary role. We know that the secondary role is sexual intercourse. Okay? But it's about identifying who you are, and that's the basis where gender is formed. And then in sex, for example, I used to tell people that if you are called now to say that a relative of yours have delivered, the first question you would ask, what did the person get? And the answer would be male or female. Okay? And that your identity as a woman or a man when you are born hardly changes over time. Is it not?
Very true.
Hardly. Okay?
Yes.
More than 95% of us would die a man or a woman anyway. Why we are saying hardly now? Because we are aware that there are transgenders. Okay? So, but apart from that, you remain as a man or a woman till you die. Okay? So what about gender? Now we are moving forward to gender. What is gender? In a simple way. I'm hearing that some of you are doing diploma in gender or whatnot. Some are doing. There is a nurse who is doing a BSc or whatnot in the university. So it's good. So what is gender in simple terms? Pardon?
I said it has to do with the roles given to us by the society.
Roles given to us by society. And if you say here, us, it means who and who? Thank you. So these are roles that are given to us by society. And who is society? It's us. It's us. We are the society.
Spearheading the family.
Spearheading the family. Yes, any other? The breadwinner of the family. Okay, we've got at least 3 or 4. We agree those are roles that is given to men by society. Huh? What about women? Childbearing. Domestic work. Cooking. Marriage.
Staying at home all the time.
Staying at home, taking care of the family. That's the domestic work. Okay? So, we've all identified distinct characteristics that have been given by society to a man or a woman. So the question is, does it mean that a woman, for example, cannot fetch firewood?
No.
Does it mean that a woman cannot be a breadwinner?
Of course.
So that is gender. And that is why it's different from sex, because gender is determined by you and I. And another reality about gender is it can change over time, depending where you are. If I ask our colleagues from Germany now, what are your gender roles when it comes to men and women, it will be different from the Gambia. Okay? And if we ask our elite or our brothers and our husbands, our sons that have traveled to the West, their roles would change. Okay? So the difference between sex and gender is socially ascribed, and it can change over time based on your education or your environment or influences of other things. And this is where people fail to realize. They say gender is a woman thing. I agree, it's a woman thing, because currently it's women who are affected.
And very vulnerable.
And vulnerable, that is why. But gender actually is here for both men and women. So if we want to talk about what are the root causes of gender-based violence, give me the main root causes. Why do you think there's a lot of gender-based violence? On women, or on children, or on vulnerable groups?
Sexual abuse.
Sexual abuse. That's a form of violence. It's not the root cause. I want a root cause.
The causes of what?
Gender-based violence.
Power.
Thank you. Power. And when we're talking about power here, we're talking about the negative power, not the positive power. So power is what? If you feel that you are powerful, you can always cause. Even a dog near us here, sometimes I look at people in the compounds or on the street, they will meet a dog sleeping, and they kick the dog. It happens. It's the same thing to the fellow human being. If you do not respect your husband, or your husband doesn't respect you, or you do not respect a child or a neighbor, you'll always abuse. So it's a lack of respect. Another major root cause would be what? Gender inequality. Our gender roles have made one of the gender to be higher than the other. And in this case, it's men. And that's why we want men to be part of our solutions. We created them. We made them to be very, very powerful.
Because of silence.
Yeah, that's a contributing factor. If we can really remove the gender role barriers around bringing in on our younger ones, is either our children. For example, you're a parent, a young parent that just got married, and you have a dialogue with your husband, or he knows issues of gender and you also know issues of gender. You don't quarrel in your house. You do not fight. You do not insult one another. If you have a child, he will grow like that. Maybe you have your first child is a girl, and then the second one is a boy. You bring them together like this. The course you are giving, you give one to this one, you give to one. They grow to one another, loving one another, caring for one another, doing domestic work together. They grow up like that. Then you're going to remove the issue of inequality. Until then, we will still be in gender-based violence. We are blaming the men, but we should blame ourselves. For me, that's my point. Yes, if we wanted to change, we will manage with you people who are grown up. But the younger generation, we all have to work very well there to ensure that we free them from gender-based violence and the culture of silence, because we are talking. Because a major cause of culture of silence is the parenting. The man is told to speak up, the woman is told to keep quiet. You grow up. Even me standing here talking to you, maybe when I go back to my husband's house, if he's talking to me, I dare not talk.
Thank you.
Yes?
Yeah, I think just to add on what you said, when we look at the society, we all understand that it is a patriarchal society where male dominate. And then when we look at those rules, it is often being carried by women themselves. Because we are the one that pioneer the culture. And as a result, these things are embedded in our culture. So when she said that we are the ones responsible, yeah, we can say we are the ones responsible. Because when we decide to cut the, remove certain things from our culture, then everything will work for us. But when we are not willing to do that, then we will continue to say we want this, but we can never have.
Yeah. Some women are forced to have sex during their menses. Some women are forced to have sex when they deliver less than 3 days. Wow. I feel like this is not Coco, this is me talking as a midwife. You see, he said they should beat that man. Yeah, in my experience, I've seen it. So, for me, it's the greatest problem. So tell the men, tell the women, let them appreciate. After my FGM training, I always say, if you have a spouse, when you go, talk to the spouse and see at what level is she, so that you reduce your matrimonial violence inside your house, the one you don't talk about. It can help you. It can make a lot of marriages and reduce the rate of divorce. It's one of the reasons why there is a high level of divorce. Mr. Man, if you don't have sexual satisfaction, you go and look for another woman. You bring that woman, the same problem, you go and bring another one. Except if you are lucky, you go to the tribe that does not perform it. Then you say those people can marry more. It's not that. They cannot marry more. What they have, we don't have. If you escape there, now, with all the difficulty, you'll be able to go in and out and you get your wife pregnant and you are very happy. And she's now terms is going into the labor ward. That is another problem. Why? We agreed. Clitoris is no more there. Labia is no more there. In addition, you were sealed and you are very rigid. So how will the baby come out? Problem. So, for example, if this is the vagina and you're having a normal delivery, this is the opening, normal delivery. The head of the baby is either head or buttocks, but normally it's head. So the head will cover here, entire here. You only see the hair coming. Now the baby is ready to come out, but how would he come out when the outlet is so rigid? Imagine this is the vagina. The baby is in this my mouth that is so swollen, and this is the outlet.
It will be like when
so rigid.
If you cut the balloon after you tighten.
Thank you.
You tighten.
Let me go back to you know watermelon.
Yeah.
Saro, eh? Yes. If saradingo na kadatima. Akakenyani. Ajanyan. Thank you. Hal boko tie mu recala mu daanu naka la demel. Tas sa kanam yi no la tafé. If a woman, when you have a watermelon and it drops, it scatters. So the woman who underwent FGM is only 1 to 3, the 3 type actually, and Gambia is very fond of 2 and 3 sealing. It scatters because there is no way on it. When you are standing in front, you are in year 2. Have you done an obstetric module? Soon you will go to the labor ward, and when you see. We say to one another, sister, the sister kaide ki kanamam bi dafa merde. Ala nyato be kam fari mbakele. That for me as a senior midwife is a warning. If I was sleeping, I will get up. Because it means that there is rigidity. I will stand in front of the vulva and look at the woman, you will see her skin breaking. Yes. And if I don't do an intervention, it will shatter. So, midwives and doctors, we are trained to intervene. We cut. We call it episiotomy. Because what I cut is easier to show than what breaks on its own. If we are lucky, the baby comes out. If you are not lucky, I add another one, bilateral herpes. Baby comes out, fine. But there are still few of us with all this, baby will not come out. How many hours does the head of the baby stay there without coming for you to be a normal baby? When there is everything. Now it's just left for the baby to come out, the head to come out. Maximum 2 hours.
Wow,
Yeah, not more than that.
My labor was 1 hour, 30 minutes.
So what happens is in labor, when you come to the second stage, your skull bones, they overlap. The head comes like this, so that it will be small for the baby to come out. That's why when a baby is born, bopa bangi guda. How it's nature. It helps you to come out. But it's not nature. Yes. Whichever end you believe, whether it's nature or medical or God or whatnot. That's how the baby is, to aid the woman to bring it out. If not, my friend, look at the head of a baby for it to come out on this small vagina. There is something helping it. So, but if it elapses that 2 hours, that overlap, wherever it's lying down, it will cause a problem on the unborn baby. That's why sometimes you have abnormalities, and you and I say that it's the ngelaw and the gino. We have our babies born. Damage has been done. Worst of all, the baby dies. Traditionally, we all know, we hear this. Why ki tawla why lu bari taw duy dunda. Exactly. You mu dim follow ti jama dim follow buka balu. This is your first child. Most of the time, first children, they don't live. Yeah, we know it. But why are they dying? Why are they not talking about it? It's a complication. One of it is a complication. I'm not saying all. Here we are FGM prone. One of them is because they stay too long there. So the woman would deliver a dead baby. And you start blaming EFSTH. Doctor, and
the genes.
And the genes. So it's a problem because they stay too long here. Despite all that, the head can come out and it will still stop there.
And looking at our medical sector, it is affecting a lot of women during the delivery. That's why what she's saying, I think we have to go a lot of conduct seminars on this thing. If we are talking about FGMC, we shouldn't left these two things, this child marriage and this issue of tobacco, because these two they have correlation. Yeah. They are correlated to FGMC, because by looking at early marriage also, it leads to what teenage pregnancy, and we all know that some of these people, their maturity level, some of the, if you look anatomically and physiology, if you did, you will know that at a certain age, the girl will not be mature to deliver at expectation. I think these are all things that should be left during our advocacy. But most especially tobacco, even the smell. They do sell in our compound. But even the smell, for me, I don't like the smell. The smell, even caustic soda. Those that did chemistry. Okay, no, it's not different. But those. No, but looking at it, those who did chemistry. Okay, those who do chemistry, if you know the combination, the chemical combination of this to have a caustic soda, you know that it is as a reagent that is very dangerous. It is corrosive even. Right, looking at it. So I think we have a greater role. If we are talking about FGMC, we also have to talk about the issue of this tobacco. Caustic soda, wherever it is present, know that there's another complication that is trying to come up. And as young activists, we shouldn't leave other problem behind while we are going with other problems. We should take both of them simultaneously.
Thank you.
So everybody knows this when this happens, it's a big problem for the people. So, but for me, my question is, how can we avoid? Let's talk about how can we talk to the elders How can you be not feeling ashamed to talk about it? Because all the other issues are common. You all know about it. We don't have to waste our time to talk about it because everybody knows it already. So for me, the question is, and I'm really interested in that, how can we talk to the elders? If you go to the rural areas and you are sitting in front of 10 old women or middle-aged women, and I'm sitting there and I want to talk to them, hey, how can we avoid it? So why do you do it? Because after knowing what happens physically, we were talking about the physical issues. But for me, we have to talk about the social and the cultural issues. What will happen if a girl is not circumcised? Then she is excluded of your society. How can we include them? How can you include them? How can we talk in the society about these issues?
You didn't say it either. Why? Why can't you have to? You have to. Yes, quite right. Or you have to use these words. You have to do it step by step. Every day a new word for it. Like once you learn to talk about, find words and talk in general, you have to talk about these taboos. Step by step, word by word. You have to name it.
Really?
Like your name is Fatou. Like your name is Blood. Like your name is Julia, or mine is Hannah. We have to name it. And then it becomes common in our vocabulary. And then we don't feel ashamed. We lose this. Yes. It becomes common in our mindset, and we can talk about this. This is the way. So talk. Or just what Halima said, discuss, and find a dialogue. What you cannot say today, you can say it tomorrow. You can name it in a week, but one day you can name it.
Sometimes we call in our local language, we have so many names to call this FGM. Sometimes we call it Baramboyo. Sometimes we call it Nyakaboyo. Sometimes we call it Sunno to make it nice. But in a common sense, we have to call the real name. That is Nyakaboyo. That is really the cutting of the clitoris. We have to talk about it. When we go to our communities, in our societies, in our VUS, in our Grand Place, we have to discuss way forward. What are we going to do to make sure we remedy this situation? For my part, I engage religious leaders because most of the time they relate this with religion. That is why I engage religious leaders. And it works. Sometimes it works. 75% it works. I engage them all over, from Koena to Kato. I went to Basse, Farafenye, Saregubu, and other places. And I've also engaged the women leaders. We have to talk about this. And we already knew the problems of FGMC. The effects of FGMC, we said, this empowers sex, yes. During the delivery, you lose a lot of blood. We knew all that. But what can we do to make sure we stop this practice? That is more important. If we don't do counseling, allow me to learn, if we don't do counseling, we will keep talking about this, but it will not stop. And we have to make sure we stop this. Because just every day or every week or every month or in a year, how many millions of dollars are we spending to make sure we stop this practice, and still people are doing it? Because we hide under the carpet. We don't want to come outright to speak to people the truth. If I want to go to Brikama right now, I have to avoid the vehicles. Why do I need to avoid the vehicles? Why?
It's too dangerous.
It's dangerous. I don't want to die now. Because if I'm knocked by a car, I will die. Or I will have serious injury. But I have to counsel. We have to start counseling one-to-one. You are my friend. He is my brother. He is my brother. She is my daughter. One-to-one. How many of us are in this room? The larger group is out there. So if we start counseling one-to-one, sensitization, advocacy, we have done a lot. Myself, I don't know how many times did I do this. But many times. And in fact, the cross-border initiative, sometimes Gambia will leave Gambia, they will go to Senegal, practice it in Senegal and come back. Sometimes Senegal also will go and do it, and then later on they come back. I was having that project. Myself and my colleagues, we did that, Senegal security and Gambia security. Because if you practice it here, you just go, come back. Still, there is a gap, and we need to fill that gap. Sensitization sometimes doesn't worth money. I can be outside talking to somebody without that guy giving me money, or giving me breakfast, or giving me lunch. There are so many strategies that we can do. We have to change the mindset, the concept of people, especially the young people. We have passed the age already, but the young ones, 18 years above, we have to start. I did one training with young couples, husband and wife. My last born is almost 14 years old, and is a boy, it's not a girl. If at all my last born was a girl, she will never. I will never allow my child to go through this FGMC, because already I have the first-hand information, the training, advocacy, chatting with people, having dialogue with people, guidance, counseling. But if we go out, we have to be the change agent. But instead, we are adding fire to the salt to the fire. Because exactly. Because if we go out, my grandmother will ask me, you said you went out for a training. What have you learned from that training? I started explaining, we have money, these white people have money, these black people have the knowledge, this and that, this. So instead of me trying to explain everything that I learned from this training, I'll just beat the bush about. They said FGM is dangerous. But what are the dangers involved in FGM? Already I knew that. What can I do to stop people practicing this? That is what we need to talk about.
My name is Fatu Fati, and I'm the communication officer of the Shine Light Girls Education. Well, I can say I have been attending a lot of training when it comes to gender-based violence and FGM, but this one is one of the best, I can say, because I personally have learned a lot when it comes to this, and I know my colleagues and my friends that I came with also learned something, and at the end of the day, I know we will actually go out there to the society and then let them know about this, the causes, the difficulties that these young people are facing when it comes to gender-based violence and FGMC. So I wouldn't say much, but then because we know the problem, so let's come out and then come out with a solution, a very concrete solution that we can end this gender-based violence and the FGMC.
This wonderful training with Farmer Barry and her team, and what the purpose, what we want to do is we want to stop FGMC here in your country, in the Gambia. And they were really explaining a lot of things about gender-based violence, about sexual abuse, about power, about education, and why you have this FGM here in your country and how we can stop it. Because FGM doesn't make any sense, no medical reason to make it. So we hope that these trainings are helping to sensitize the people in the whole Gambia to stop doing it, because it doesn't make any sense. It's against gender equality, it's gender violence, and we don't want it any longer. We want to protect the girls and the women here in the Gambia and all over the world. And when every participant of this training is going back home to his own family or to her own family, and she will talk with the brothers and sisters and neighbors and parents and grandpas. The purpose is 100% successful. That's what we wanted to achieve. Is 100% successful is when everybody is going back home and is talking to their own people.
So I'm bad in Lamo Lalu and Jibi Lalu Kunga Falianyang, Nto Mamadi Mamadi Kasama, a volunteer at Ajofan Netherlands Foundation. Workshop on Meat Nana Walemko, Kakul Boninyo, Mealanko, Cool Membe Musol, Botanicang, Cool Melaring Membeko Nyakatotal, Nyapin Kangolu, and Kumanen Menkala Musol Kang. So Ninatina Nata Jambi, journalist will be Jane, other ministerial Fanam, let's say Musudo Fanam Mealanko and Tabu Abakabona from Network Against Gender-Based Violence. She has been into this. I kujama along and then I session also with people. So njiketa ko kulum beketa jang abekela kuleni melan ko abekela karandel bulo and momo boda jam fana sa mek so e kuku karanjang yeta ya itani molla.
Thank you very much. I am Ibrahim Fadera, the president of Sign Light and Girls Education Germany-Gambia. Indeed, it's absolutely a very great move that the Sign Light and Girls Education is doing in terms of helping the community and then the society in achieving breaking the gender gap. Sign Light and Girls Education is initiated purposely to help marginalized girls in terms of education. And we also see, Tori, that we cannot only focus on the educational aspect, we have to focus on the negative aspects that also connect towards education. That is the cultural barriers that says women shouldn't go to school, and also the cultural practices against women and young girls. And then that is why I was in a very much detailed communication with my partners that we came in to step into female genital mutilation or circumcision. And then this is our first training as far as the organization is concerned. And with the way I see and then I witness and then participants, the knowledge that they've gathered here, I believe they will be able to go back to the community and then to get this knowledge to sensitize the community in these aspects. Because I have one-on-one conversation with a lot of participants here, and then they all tell me that, look, this training is very important, and it shouldn't even be a closed door, it has to be an open door. It needs media sensitizations, it needs advocacy. So I have the feeling that then Sign Light and Girls Education will not relent. We will also do our utmost best. I will still communicate with my German partners to see if we can